Okay. All right, so first thing, let's do a little bit. We're going to be graphing from slope intercept, okay? But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about what we mean when we say slope intercept. What is slope intercept form of an equation? When I say that, what am I talking about? What does that mean? Slope intercept. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, now these have some specific meanings. Okay, like this, for example, that m stands for what? Slope. Okay, and slope is always expressed as a what? A fraction, a ratio. Okay, this b stands for the what? Y-intercept. And basically, what that means is where the line, when we graph it, crosses the y-axis. Okay? That's super important. Okay? All right, so a little bit about when we graph slope. Okay? Y-intercept's easy. Okay? If I have a y-intercept, let's say, of -2, what is that telling me? If I have a y-intercept of -2, that line crosses the y-axis where? At what? Well, -2. I said -2. But yeah, that's where that. So if we were to look at a graph, if I had a y-intercept, let's say of -2, that means wherever that line goes, it's going to cross at -2 on the y-axis, right? Okay. Let's say I had a y-intercept of 4. What is that going to tell me? Where is it going to cross the y-axis? At where? At 4. So up 4. Now, that's not where it crosses the x. That's where it crosses the y. Is there a difference? Yeah. Okay. Let's say I have a y-intercept of 0. Where is that going to cross the y-axis? What's this called, this point right here? The origin. Okay, good. What if I have a y-intercept of -7? Where's that going to cross the y-axis? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right here. Okay. Kind of understand what it means when I say a y-intercept. Does everybody, are we good on that? Okay. Good. Now the next part is graphing slope. Okay, when we graph slope, when you graph, and this looks complicated, but it gets really easy, okay? When you graph slope, remember, top number equals up or down. The bottom number equals what? Always going to go that way. Okay? So, well, that's a bad arrow, isn't it? I'll make a better arrow. Okay. It's either going to go up or down, and then it's going to go to the right. Okay? Now, if I have a, this is also important. If you have a negative slope, make the top number, the -1. I'm not going to say the 1. Okay, in other words, let's say I had -3/5. That negative is going to move to the top, so it's going to be -3/5. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Let's say I had a slope that wasn't in fraction form. Let's say I had a slope is -2. This would become -2 over what? Over 1. Okay? Good? Okay. It'll make more sense once I actually show you some examples. Okay? All right. Does everybody have all of that copied down? That's important stuff. Okay? Everybody with me so far?
Well, I don't have the equation copied down.
You don't have that stuff copied down?
Like, no, the equation itself, like -3/36.
You should copy that just so you know. Just because it's a good example. Okay. Are we good? Are we good? Okay. So let's say I am told to graph. Why did I forget my R? Graph the equation y equals negative 3/5 x minus 1. Okay, so if we're going to graph this line, which is what we're going to do here, okay? Step one. Step one. Ready? Identify the y-intercept and graph it. Okay, so let's go to this equation. Remember, what is slope intercept? Y equals what? Mx plus b. Now, this doesn't always have to be plus b. It's whatever number is over here in the sign that's in front of it. So if we look at this, what is my y-intercept? Look at that equation. What's the y-intercept? Everybody, what's the y-intercept? Everybody, what's the y-intercept? Negative 1. So I'm going to write b equals negative 1. Okay, you got that? And then this also said we identified the y-intercept. Can we graph that? Where do we know that this line is going to cross the y-axis? What, Levi? Negative 1. So we're going to go to our graph, and we're going to go negative 1 on the y-axis, and we're going to put a dot. Okay, do that. And you can just draw a generic graph if you want to. Okay? Okay, do we understand what we did so far? Yay? Okay. Now, step 2. Graph the slope from, okay, notice I put that in all caps and underlined it twice, from the y-intercept. Okay, let's go back over here to our equation. Now, what is in place of the m? M is my slope, isn't it? M is my slope. What's in place of that m right here? Negative. Okay, why did one person tell me that? What's in place of my slope? Negative 3/5. Okay, so I'm going to have m equals. Now, what did I tell you the rule is? If I have negative slope, which number do I make my negative? The top. And they won't both be negative, because if they were both negative, it would make it what? Positive. Okay, so I'm going to identify this as negative 3/5. Okay? You understand what we did there? Now, what we're going to do, this says what? From the y-intercept. Okay? Now, remember slope. The top number either goes up or down. Well, negative on a graph means we're going where? Down. So we're going to go down, how many? 3, and we're going to go where? Over 5. Now, let's go over here to our graph. From the y-intercept, we're going to go down how many? 1, 2, 3, and over how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to put a dot there, and we're going to put a line that goes through those 2 points. Okay? That is the graph of that equation. Kind of understand what we did there? It's really not that difficult so far, is it? Okay? Shall we try another one? Yes, we shall. Question? Graph it. Identify the y-intercept and graph it. All right, let's try another one. Here is my equation. Y equals negative 2x plus 3. Okay, copy that equation. Okay, step 1. Jordan, explain to me what to do on step 1. and what? Graph it. So look at this equation. What's the y-intercept? So does everybody agree that b equals 3? Okay. So when I go graph that, Christy, how do I graph 3 on the y-intercept?
If it's positive, then you're up 3.
So right here?
Yeah.
Would it be okay if I just put it right here? This is 3, but that's
the
3 on.
x-axis.
There you go. Good job. All right, so I'm going to put a point right there. Agreed? Okay. Forrest, what's step 2?
Find the slope.
Okay, what is the slope in this particular equation?
Negative 2x.
-2, not the x, but -2. How do I express it as a fraction? Put it -2 what?
Over 1.
Over 1. Okay, Julia, what does this mean? From the y-intercept. From the y-intercept, I'm going to go where?
Down 2
Down 2 and where?
to the right 1.
Over 1. Okay, so from here, can I just do it from here? No, from the what? Y-intercept. Down 2 over how many? 1. And then I put a line there. Okay. Does that make sense so far? Yes.
Is it always going to be down 2?
Nope. If it's negative slope, yes, but if it's not negative slope, let's try one without negative slope. Okay? Let's say I've got an equation like this. Y equals 1/3 x minus 5. Jane, step 1, what do I do?
You identify the y-intercept.
What's the y-intercept? -5. And I graph it, right?
Yep.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right here, right?
Wait, is this the right?
No. Where?
It's on the, you go down.
Okay. I may or may not have been trying to trick you. Okay. All right, step 2. Sam, help me with step 2.
You take 1/3, and since it's already in fraction form, you graph it.
Okay. Now this 1 is positive, isn't it? So I'm not going to go down. What am I going to do?
You're going to go up
I'm going to go up, and this bottom one is always where?
to the
Always that way. Always over. Okay. So Jackson, help me graph that. 1/3.
So you go up
Up 1.
over 3.
Over 1, 2, 3. Good. Would it have made a difference if I would have gone up 3 and over 1? Would that be correct?
No.
No, it wouldn't. Okay, you got to make sure you do this according to those steps. Okay? All right, let's try one completely on your own, and let's see if you guys can get it right before I go to the next part. Okay, let's say I've got y equals -x plus 2. Try that one. Try that one. Blinken.
Yeah.
What do I do first?
Well, find the radius.
Identify the.
Y-intercept.
Okay, what is the y-intercept here?
2.
2. Okay, can I graph that?
Yeah.
How do I graph that?
You go in the middle, go up 2.
Up 2. Okay. What do I do next, Jonathan? Graph the slope, okay? Well, I don't have a slope here, do I? But if I don't have a number in front of an x, what does that mean it is?
It's 1.
And there's also a what? Negative. So what is this? -1 over 1. Good. Macy, what does this mean I'm going to do? From my y-intercept, I'm going to do what?
Go down 1.
Down 1 and
Over 1.
over 1. Okay, so from right here, I'm going to go down 1, over 1. And I put a point, right? We'll make that bigger so it's there. Okay. All right. Do we understand so far?
Yes.
We're good on this so far. Okay. Now sometimes, what if I had an equation like this? okay? Let's say I had an equation that looked a little bit different, and it said just y equals negative 4x. That's all that's there. What should I do there? What do you notice? My step one is to what, Sam?
Find the y-intercept.
Find the y-intercept, but I don't see a y-intercept. All I have is negative 4x. Esmer Olivia, what do you think that's going to mean my y-intercept is? Take a guess. 0. Why? If you don't see anything, it's 0, right? Do I change this equation? If I did this, would I change the value of that equation? I would. But if I did this, do I change the value of that equation? No. Okay. Jordan, how old are you? 13. If I said, Jordan, you are now 13 plus 0, did I change your age? No. Okay. So you're not changing the equation. So if you don't see a y-intercept there, assume that it's 0. Can I still graph a 0? Yeah. So my y-intercept is 0. So I can graph that. It's just right through the what? Origin. Now, how do I graph a slope, Christy, of negative 4? What's that going to be?
Negative 4, then you're going to go down 4.
So down 4 and over 1. So from there, I'll go down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Make my line. Okay. Are we good so far?
Can you go back to the problem equation?
Yes, I can. Are we good? Okay. Now I'm going to confuse you a little bit. I'm just kidding. It's not going to. It probably will, but you'll be okay. Are we good so far? Can I erase this? Jordan, you good? All right. So what's different if I told you to graph this? 8x minus 3y equals negative 9. Okay, if I said I want you to graph that. Sam, what's different about that?
You have the 8x on the other side with the 3y.
It's not quite in this form, is it? Can I get it in that form?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So who can help me? Okay, Sam, what do I need to do?
You need to minus 8x.
So I'm going to move the 8x so it's on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Bless you. So now that's gone. I'm left with what over here?
Negative 3y.
Now, should I just put negative 9 minus 8x, or should I put the negative 8x first?
8x first.
Why? Because that's if it's in front of the x, that means it's my what? Slope. Good. So negative 3y equals negative 8x minus 9. I'm in good shape. What's wrong, Kemper? What must I do still?
Get the y by itself.
How do I get the y by itself? Divide. Kemper. Divide by what?
3.
By 3? Well, that's going to leave me with a negative y, though. What should I divide by? Negative 3. Should I also do it here? Should I also do it here? Okay. These cancel. What's left? Y. What's a negative over a negative? Oh, yeah. Okay, so a positive. And what is negative 9 divided by negative 3? Come on. Positive 3. Okay. Do I now have the ability to identify my y-intercept? And I can, because what's by itself?
Y.
Y. So what is my y-intercept here? Look at it. What's my y-intercept?
3.
3. Can I identify that 3 and can I graph it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Julia. How do I graph 3 on the y-axis?
You start at the middle and go up 3.
Up 3. Right here? Okay. And my slope is 8 over 3. That's positive 8 over 3, right? So how would I graph, Michael, how would I graph positive 8 over 3?
You have to go up 8 and over 3.
Up 8 and over 3. Good. So from my y-intercept, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, woo, all the way up there, over 3. Right there. And we have a nice straight line that goes right through those. Okay. Are we good on this?
Yes.
Do you understand how this works now? It's not that hard, is it? Pretty simple. Okay. I'm